Hello, and welcome back to Keeping Up with History. I'm your host, Mallory Pasco de Gama. For our first guest today, we have the man who sailed the ocean blue in 1492, Christopher Columbus. Hello, Christopher. How are you today? Thanks for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So, Columbus, tell us a little bit about yourself before you started sailing.
Well, I was born in the Republic of Genoa on October 31st, 1451. I used to work at my father's cheese stand, and it wasn't for me, so I left and started sailing.
I see. What motivated you to sail for Spain?
I wanted to find a route to Asia and the East Indies, going west rather than east, and no other country would fund me, so Spain hooked me up.
Their loss.
Yep.
How many voyages did you make to the New World?
I made 4 total voyages. The first one was as an adventurer, or explorer as some people call it, and the other 3 were as empire builders.
Tell us about your first voyage.
My fleet was the Nina, Pinta, and the Santa Maria. We set out on August 3rd, 1492, and we landed October 12th, 1492.
I see. What was your first impression when you landed?
I believed at the time that I was in the East Indies, but it turns out I was in the Caribbean. And when I landed on an island, I named it San Salvador, which means Holy Savior. And I called the natives Los Indos, but they called themselves the Taínos. My bad. But yeah, they accepted anything we traded with them.
That's good. Do you believe your first voyage was successful?
Definitely. I didn't pass an island without taking gold, silver, or any other, goods.
I see.
Yeah.
What were your other voyages like?
The king and queen, they were pretty happy with what I had done the first voyage, so they encouraged my colonization in the new land, and they gave me more ships, soldiers, and they had a bunch of settlers come with me too.
I see. What is one of your most memorable experiences in Americas?
The time I landed on Jamaica, that was pretty crazy. The natives, they weren't liking me too much, and I remembered that there was going to be a lunar eclipse, so I told them that my gods would be angry, and they believed me once they saw the lunar eclipse, and they started worshiping me.
I see. That sounds like you were very tricky. Was there any controversy over your accomplishments?
Well, Leif Erikson was said to have sailed there before me in the 11th century, but he didn't leave a lasting impact like I did.
Others know you as a selfish, greedy man who doesn't deserve a day named after you. What do you have to say to them?
I don't care what they have to say. I'm the first person to have connected Europe and Africa with the Americas.
There you have it, folks. Christopher Columbus, the best sailor to ever sail. Next up, we have Maximilien Robespierre. Thanks for coming, Robespierre, considering your circumstances.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
I guess so. I was born on May 6, 1758 in Arras, France. I moved to different relatives' houses with my 3 other siblings after my mom died in childbirth. And after that, my dad also went kind of crazy, so I had to get out.
Oh, sorry to hear that. So, I know you were a commoner of the Third Estate. How did you become so educated?
Well, I studied at the College of Arras, College of Louis le Grand, and College of Law. After school, I became the president of the Jacobin Club, Society of the Friends of the Constitution.
What made you become so popular?
With my strong distaste of monarchy and being an advocate of democratic reforms, I became popular easily. These qualities of mine helped me become the leader of the Committee of Public Safety in 1793. People called me an incorruptible patriot.
But is it true you ran France as a dictatorship once you were in power?
Yes, that's true. It was a dictatorship from 1793 to 1794. I called it the Reign of Terror. Truly great times.
Terror? What did you do that was so terrible?
If I suspected any form of monarchy, they were to be executed by the guillotine. Enemies were tried in the morning, guillotined in the afternoon. I killed a total of 3,000 people in Paris and 40,000 in all of France. My most famous execution, which I'm most proud of, is the Queen Marie Antoinette.
What else happened as a result of this terror?
Well, people with names like Leroy, which means the king, they had to change their names. Also, you know how on decks of cards they have kings and queens?
Mm-hmm.
I had to make it switch so people didn't get ideas of starting a revolution.
I see. Is it true you killed an innocent tavern keeper?
He was not innocent. He was selling sour wine to the defenders of our country. It's not my fault. I warned the people in my speech, Republic of Virtue, that violence would be used to justify democracy.
I see. How did your reign of terror end?
I had to kill a few radicals that were less radical than me. Due to this action on July 28, 1794, they turned on me screaming, "Down with the tyrant."
Oh, Robespierre, you seem as a cruel man. What are your thoughts on that?
I did what I had to do and got rid of the monarchy in France. Because of me, I think France is now a better place.
Well, thank you for your time. Keep watching to learn more about history. Our next guest is Joseph McCarthy. McCarthy, welcome on the show.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
So to start off, where did your childhood begin?
I was born November 14th, 1908, and I grew up in Grand Chute, Wisconsin.
What was education like for you?
I attended the University of Wisconsin-Madison and Marquette University of Law. There, I excelled academically.
What do you think your biggest accomplishment was?
I'm extremely proud of being the youngest circuit judge at age 30, but I think my greatest achievement was popular belief of the spread McCarthyism.
How would you define McCarthyism to the viewers?
In my opinion, it was getting rid of the communists in the United States. However, people became paranoid with it and thought it was blind accusations with no evidence to support them.
What are your thoughts about President Eisenhower disagreeing with McCarthyism?
It's a real shame. I'm trying to fix a serious problem for this country, and he isn't helping.
What action of yours introduced McCarthyism?
Probably when I spoke at Wheeling, West Virginia, and I stated that I had a list of over 200 communist members working at the Department of State.
What was the Tidings Committee, and do you think it was effective?
They were supposed to punish the card-carrying communists I listed in the Department of State, but they didn't, and I was called a fraud.
Do you feel that the House Un-American Committee was somewhat unreasonable?
Not at all. People who didn't name other communists should go to jail. They are hurting this country by not sharing names.
I agree. Do you feel guilty in any way for the loss of over 2,000 government jobs?
They lost them by themselves. They were communists and didn't deserve to work for our great country.
Why did you get the nickname Pepsi Cola Kid?
The media, they made up that I had received a personal loan of $20,000, from this Pepsi bottling executive. It's whatever.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. For our next guest, we will be welcoming John Locke. Welcome to the show, Mr. Locke.
It's great to be here.
To start out, could you tell us a little bit about your family or your personal life?
Well, I was born in England to Puritan parents. I was fortunate enough to receive a prestigious education that exposed me to the works of other philosophers, such as Sir Francis Bacon. I never got married, and I never had any kids.
Where did you receive your education, and how did that shape your philosophies?
Well, I attended the University of Oxford. There I discovered the works of both modern and classical philosophers, although I preferred the modern philosophers' work much more.
Did you study anything other than philosophy?
Yes, I also studied medicine while I was there. I was training to become a physician. During my time at the university, I was able to conduct medical research with other brilliant scientists.
Neat. Could you explain some of your ideas about human nature to us?
So I believe that people are not born evil. Rather, they are born without any sort of moral ideas. They're blank slates in a way. and they develop their morals later on as they experience things in life.
Can you discuss your ideas about human rights?
I believe that all people are entitled to the rights of life, liberty, and property. Everyone is born with these rights, and they should not be taken away.
What role do you think the government should play when it comes to these rights?
I think that it is the government's job to protect these rights. The people should hold the power and be able to change the government if it is not properly protecting their rights. This ideal type of government would be a democracy.
Seeing as you came from a Puritan family, how do you feel about religious freedom?
I strongly advocate for religious tolerance. If one religion is enforced, then there will never be peace. It is a person's right to choose their own religion.
Correct. Are you aware of the revolutions and other thinkers you have influenced?
Yes, I've been told about how my ideas influenced both the American and French revolutions. The Founding Fathers used some of my principles to create the U.S. Declaration of Independence.
Apparently, you were involved in the Rye House plot to execute King Charles II. Can you tell us your role in that?
Well, I had no direct involvement in the plot, but people still believed that I was part of it. Because of this, I had to flee the country and go to the Netherlands. This was a very stressful time in my life.
Some people accuse your writings about freedoms of being hypocritical in regards to slavery. What do you have to say about this?
Well, I admit that I did purchase stock in slave trading, but I think my philosophies and ideas in my books should indicate my beliefs. All people have the right to be free.
I see. Thank you for coming on the show, Mr. Luck. Stay tuned for our last guest. Thanks for coming today, Henry Bessemer.
I'm excited to be on the show.
So tell me, what was your early life like?
I was born January 19th, 1813 in Charlton, Hertfordshire, England. I worked with my father making chains, a process he developed.
That's fascinating. Would you say your father is your greatest influence?
I was definitely inspired by him the most because he was an engineer and an inventor. However, my work with steel was inspired by James Naismith.
What was education like for you?
I was self-educated, so I feel it allowed me to think more outside the box. I expressed creativity, which is very important to being an inventor.
I agree. Can you explain the Bessemer process?
It's a more efficient and less expensive way to produce steel. The process is done by blowing air into a molten pig iron to burn off impurities and create steel.
Did you have any struggles getting your invention out there?
Yes, actually, I did. I was unable to persuade existing iron companies to use my method.
What do you do when companies want to support your ideas?
Well, since no one accepted my process, my partner and I decided to set out and start our own ironworks.
What are some of your other inventions?
I created a sugarcane crushing machine and a machine that produces bronze dust from metallic paint at a fraction of the price. Also, after getting seasick, I created a boat designed to stay level. Unfortunately, it did not undergo proper sea testing.
So, what's an achievement that you're most proud of?
I registered over 100 patents in my lifetime.
What was the coolest thing you ever experienced?
Definitely being knighted for my contributions.
Sir Bessemer, how do you think your contributions impacted the world?
I think they helped and were beneficial. The Bessemer process in my other works helped by cutting costs. I believe this played a big role in industrialization and modernization.
Thank you, Sir Bessemer, and thanks for watching another episode. See you next week on Keeping Up with History.